Lord, that's something that's not said enough. And the people that we're dealing with, and me, people don't stop and say, hey, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate the shoes I'm wearing. I appreciate my pants. I appreciate my food. Because most of the stuff that I am, I couldn't be without the help of somebody else. And I'm sure not too proud or too entitled to say I appreciate it. Second, I'd like to thank Angelique for allowing me to speak tonight. This is probably the hugest honor I've ever had. And if you had told me a year ago this is where I'd be, I wouldn't have got off the couch and I wouldn't have believed it. And I'd like to also say that I've been scared to death for a week, knowing that I was going to be speaking. But I also have to say that everything that I do is God-led. And I told God when I started this, if you open a door, I'll be bold enough to walk through it. And I knew this was going to be a big old fancy thing. And as scary as it was, I thought, I've tried on everything in the closet all week long to try to figure out if I look good enough. I want you to dress, I want you to be you. And I was so scared that me wouldn't be good enough. But she asked me to give the speech that I gave probably a year ago to my church, compelling them to help us with Red Legacy. And I thought, how in the world will I find enough words for these fancy rich people? But then I saw that I'm not by myself. My church family's already here. Some of the first people that I met was Lee and Lisa. And Lisa was there. I have to tell you, while Angelique was over here doing Red Legacy, I was over here doing Bible study in jail. And the only thing that I can even tell you that happened with me, the closest way I can describe it is what happened to Paul when he was on that road to Damascus. I am the only human being I think of in the history of the world that was jerked out of rehab to report to jail. But after 30 days of arguing with God in a faith-based rehab about how could he let me get this dirty and then expect me to work for him. But I went on, reported to jail 2 days after I got saved. And within a week, we had a Bible study going because the questions they was asking, there was an interest for it. And I'll tell you what, with my reputation having to call preachers and ask them to give me a Bible study because I had no idea what to tell somebody. I remember a story about Jonah, and I thought that was about a man that fell in a fish belly and then somebody got him out. And I knew about Adam and Eve, and that was about the just stuff. But Angelique asked for this speech. And I'll get your weight cards and everything else. I'll try to give it to you. I can hold your attention with horrific details of common everyday life of addiction and alcoholism. My story is no different than anyone else's. I've walked, stumbled, or crawled away from numerous car wrecks I shouldn't have. I've been ran over 3 times. I was used for target practice. I've been bought, sold, and traded. I beat my way out of the storage shed after being locked in it for 4 days. I have no idea how many times I awoke not knowing where I was or how I got there. My addiction cost me a college scholarship and a naval career. My Master Chief recognized my problem and tried to exploit it, and it cost him his naval career. That was my first realization that the world doesn't care about your problems, only how they can maximize from them. I've experienced it countless times, and I've seen it daily. I've needed work, so in order for someone to work me for minimum wage, I had to have sex with them also. I've been told by people I wouldn't disrespect myself that way. My reply was, you were lucky you never had to. You didn't have a record that prevented you from being given a chance. I picked up my cousin, walking the streets in January, half froze, getting in my car saying she had worked all day and all she could get was $8. I've been summoned to bathrooms where the cold sweat dripped from the forehead of a frantic junkie begging for help locating a still usable vein. I've been that junkie. I sharpened the needle of an insulin syringe on the striker plate of a matchbook until it was 1/4 of an inch long, and the numbers were no longer visible in the barrel. I've liquidated my house payment with my ATM card at a crack house. I've known the fear of being without dope and the paranoia of being with it. I jumped off my own roof, fleeing from the imaginary DTF in my head after shooting meth for 9 days. I overdosed 8 times in 3 months. The worst fight I was ever in was with my daughter after I got clean and she was on meth. The second worst was with my father after I knew in my heart he would not rape me again, even if that meant only one of us would walk away. I've been beaten, raped, robbed, thrown from a moving vehicle, exploited, manipulated, extorted, compromised, betrayed, and dismissed. I was misunderstood, lonely, unloved, and broken. People looked at me with contempt and openly ridiculed and persecuted me. I became the person they gave me credit for being. If this isn't raw or gritty enough for you, I'll answer any questions when I finish. I don't tell you my past because I'm proud of it, but to let you understand it. The majority of things that happened to me was because I was looking for love and acceptance. I was trying to fill a huge empty space the only way I knew how. My life was so bad I fled from it, not caring where I was going. Through a series of events, I realized God had a job for me to do. And after reading the curses and blessings in Deuteronomy 28, I realized if God wanted me to do something, I might as well go on and do it. Through doing God's will and the patience of others, I realized God loved me. With that thought that God could love me, I grew confident and I started to love me. It was about then I learned Romans 8:28 through 31, and I understood its full meaning and the impact of those verses on my life and others like me. I found comfort knowing all the bad stuff that happened to me. God already knew that it would. And I felt safe knowing all things work for the good of those who love God and are called according to His purpose. But more than anything, I rejoiced as I recognized I was special enough to someone to be called. And upon acceptance to the call, my Savior had justified me. And as I stand before you today, evidence I have been glorified. And of course, a sentence that will give the courage to do anything. If God is for us, who shall be against us? The first time I attended AA, a woman told me, keep coming back, and we will love you until you love yourself. After I got out of jail, I realized without something to do, I'd get into trouble. So I asked Kay Van Dyke if I could do what she did. That night, we went to Al-Anon. The next night, we went to church, where I met Virginia Laws, who asked me what I did, occupationally speaking. Oh, I'm just a criminal, I replied. And then came the kindest answer from the most perfect smile of this obviously professional woman. Well, we all are. We just haven't been caught yet. There we stood on the church steps, her dressed to the nines, hair and makeup to a T. Me, a clean t-shirt and holy jeans. The contrast obvious, at ease with each other. I didn't know about Red Legacy when I came out of jail, so I had to aggravate a lot of other people. A lot. But when I found out what Red Legacy does, I thought how much easier it might have been had I had them. And how much easier still if my church, the family God gave me, joined efforts with Red Legacy to improve the lives of others. And they did. Through the love of God that healed me, I became willing to let go of a grudge toward my father that I'd held on to for 30 years. I went to find him in February and found he had died in November. I was consumed with sadness because my father died a little baby sinner who searched for love his whole life and never got to know what I knew. Because of the love of God, I was able to forgive the boy that dragged my daughter into his house, threw her down, and raped and sodomized her in front of friends. And because of that love, when the girls in jail tattle on me to whomever will listen, I can look at them like little baby sinners as someone did with me who can't do better until they learn better, and they can't learn better until they are taught. And you lead by example. Case in point, I single-handedly brought the crime rate down in Elizabeth. I changed my mind. I get it wrong sometimes, and sometimes I console myself when a girl leaves the jail and doesn't come to my house. Oh well, we'll get her next time. But mostly I keep Heather Buchanan on my mind. Scared, alone, paranoid, unloved, making the best choice she could with the information she had. To take her life and that of her child. Heather was on my Bible study list 4 times last year. I never met her, and I won't have the chance to. That was unacceptable to me last year, and it's still unacceptable. I hold myself accountable. What if we tried a little harder? I could have been her except for the grace of God and the kindness of others. I'm living proof God's love and the love of others can heal your bad habits. That was my speech last year. Since that time, my son carries my 1-year chip in his pocket, and it means something to him. And he carries his own 3-month chip in his pocket, and it means something to me. My daughter is a member of Red Legacy. She's still a little bit spoiled and a little bit entitled. And she's learning a lesson about following rules. And she's still out there, and she has her good days and her bad days. But her worst day isn't so awfully bad for me because I've still got God no matter what. We're losing youth every day. The numbers are astronomical. We look at it like it's just news. No. We're losing. And it only takes a little bit of time. And you know, this speech was ill prepared tonight because I was on the phone an hour with a woman frantic over what to do with her daughter. I'm still selfish. God ain't done making me yet. There was a piece of me that was rejoicing that I wasn't her today. But it's real. It's not my kid today. It's not your kid today. But I don't know anybody that gets to sit there and act secure because, like Angela said, it hits the rich people, it hits the poor people. It's not all about good parenting. And I'll be honest with you, I took a parenting class and I realized I did it wrong. And I'm trying to make amends. But it can still happen. And I think she was wanting me to speak tonight to get your help. And I know you've shown an interest by showing up tonight. And we'll take any help that we can get. I appreciate it. Thank you.
two more inspiring people in all your days. Aren't we blessed to have them in our program? Yeah. I have no idea where I'm here. Anyway, they're wonderful. What they have to say, that's what I was Sorry. Anyway, okay.
Switch this.
Okay, that's great. Wonderful. Jason Leggins, where are you? Okay, come on up. This is our auctioneer. We're going to